Morning, my name's Haiti, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery.
We just forgot what we were doing this morning. So.
We just cut out all the people who are joining us in our virtual room. We didn't connect them. But anyway, I'm a compulsive overeater, I'm a binge eater, I'm a purger, I am a food addict, I'm also a drug addict who is in recovery.
I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic in recovery. Welcome everybody this morning.
So it's been a while. We missed last
weekend. That happens.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay.
And we're back today, and what we do is we get together and we discuss recovery, what it looks like and how it makes us feel. We also, people join us via Facebook, they join us on YouTube Live. You can also watch past videos there. You can also step into our waiting room, which is a virtual room. If you just message us on Facebook now, and we'll send you the link and you can hop in the conversation.
You can hop on in. So good morning. I'm not sure why we can't see Karen this morning.
So we decided, we got some input today. Little Ed said that we should actually discuss the ABCs of recovery.
That's my grandbaby who happens to be with us today, and he's 2 years old, so he's 2 years clean already.
Exactly. And so
he's shaking his head.
So we decided today's Super Bowl.
Yes.
It is.
I have no idea what that
Sunday.
has to do with the ABCs, but yes.
Right. So what it is for a lot of people, they're challenges because, as an addict, a food addict, the food is a huge component for a lot of people.
Too, right? A lot of
and
partying,
alcoholic.
yeah, big
and as a drug
weekend.
addict, to go party, we always think we've got to get buzzed to be able to party or stay buzzed at the party by overeating. So for some of us, it's a challenge, and we're not quite sure what to do with ourselves or how to deal with today. So let's start.
Okay, so if we were going to talk about the ABCs, of course, we always talk about acceptance, and I think that acceptance is always going to be our number one go-to when we want to remember how to stay in recovery and why we are in recovery, right? Because when we have acceptance, then we're happy. When we're not fighting the things that are happening in the world around us that we have no reason to be fighting about, right? When it is what it is. When we have acceptance, then that allows us to be happy.
So it's really interesting that you bring that up because, one of the things when I was using, my goal was to feel good. It wasn't being in recovery, it's learning to deal with those feelings no matter what they look like and how they show up. So within that is the acceptance. But also when I was using, so the goal was to feel good, so I'd overdo whatever it was that I was doing. It was drugs, it was food. Started off feeling good and then felt really terrible by the end of it with that guilt and that shame and that demoralization. But things either felt good or bad. The weirdest thing is all of a sudden stepping into recovery, we have a million emotions. Mm-hmm. And firstly, being able to identify them, know that they're just feelings, because doing things no matter how we're feeling, like today, I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't feel like getting out of bed. If I had to listen to my feelings, I'd get very little done or I'd end up hurting myself. So sometimes it's just doing things that we need to do because we actually feel great once we've done them.
Yeah, and those are actually the things that we choose to do, right?
Right.
So when we look at that as it is a choice, that could be our C, right? I don't know what B could be, but we do choose. We choose to feel happy. We choose to be grateful. I chose to use. We're addicts. That's a fact. That part doesn't go away. We still always have that choice to pick up or not to pick up. And I picked up so that I didn't have to feel, period, that I could act perfectly on the outside and not really have to feel too much of anything. It helped me to step away and just look at life and have my part in the play, but not actually be a part of that play.
So what you're talking about is our B in recovery, which is being present.
Okay.
Which is being present.
That's okay.
Yeah. So being present, being accountable, being responsible,
being
happy.
Yeah.
Those are all choices that we get to make, and that's the C. Is that it actually ends up with choices.
Yeah. And it actually is all about choices. And the first thing that we're going to choose actually is to learn to have some acceptance, because acceptance is also learned, right? The world turns the way that the world turns. There's not a whole lot that I'm in control of except for the way that I feel and my own actions. So if I show up and do my best to do my best and accept the fact that the world is turning the way that it is and stop fighting against those things that I'm so used to fighting against so that I don't have to take a look at me right? Because if I'm looking at you or I'm looking at him or I'm worried about what's happening out there, I certainly don't have to take a look at me.
So one of the things I've been working on is staying in my lane, which is really difficult.
I love that actually because my friend talks about, my therapist talks about that.
So staying in my lane is
lane.
really trying not to get involved in other people's things or stuff that's happening around me. So we're driving down to the Heat game last night. Went to the Heat game with my husband. It was a date night, which was actually pretty cool. And he was saying, going down to Miami, the traffic's terrible, and you're sitting in these traffic jams, and he gets annoyed every single day, and he gets pissed off. So we had this conversation, like, you've got the choices. Either way, you're going to be sitting in traffic. How you deal with it is up to you. You can listen to music, you can listen to a book, you could sit and ruminate on being discontent and miserable.
Right.
Or you can just make a phone call and talk to someone.
Right. Or you can stay home, by the way, because that's a choice you can make. So if
Right.
you don't want to complain about the traffic, don't be in traffic.
Right, right. I mean,
Right,
then
don't
you got to
go.
also deal with the consequences of those choices.
But it's still one of your choices, right?
Right. That's an interesting thing. I honestly believe that I am right where I am right now because of the choices I made in the past.
I agree with that 1,000,000,000%. I think that we all are.
And part of that is, when I first started thinking of this concept of recovery and change and doing things differently, we got to listen to the little guy. I'm telling you, he's very wise. Okay. When I thought of what recovery was, it sounded so overwhelming that I wasn't really willing, or I was really scared.
Yeah, it's scary.
To do something different because where I was so comfortable. That's another C.
So we're alphabetical geniuses.
We
this
are.
morning
We learning
in our
from-
recovery.
So the next thing was the D, which is doing.
Okay, not feeling like duty, just doing.
No, just exactly. So you
Okay.
could either do the duty stuff or you could actually start doing stuff. And part of the doing is actually doing something differently, because if we keep doing things exactly the same way as we're doing, which I did that. I did a lot of research. I used a lot of drugs. I ate a lot of food. I binged a lot. And I always thought I'd get different results if I wished things differently. Until I realized that I needed to do something differently. And the way I was thinking really was the issue. I had to learn from other people who were thinking a little bit differently.
Yeah, and they say in the rooms, and we're not affiliated with any of the other A groups, and shout out to all of them and everybody that gets clean in those, but they say, when I was stepping into recovery, they told me that I would only have to change one thing, and that one thing was everything. And it's really the truth. So we need to completely change the way that we look at the world, right? Because we have to completely change our perspective, or our brains are never going to change. Our situations aren't going to change.
Right, and that is our E, which is everything. It changes everything. And following on, I'm very into the alphabet thing.
Our
So
F is
everything-
Felice, by the way.
Right, and F is Felice, and it's also fear.
Or
is
being
a
afraid
big-
of Felice.
Or
That's-
being afraid of Felice, which is sometimes my thing on Sundays, but no. There's no fear here, but definitely fear is a huge part of this journey. I was always scared. I was scared of what was going to happen in the future. I was scared of what was going to happen today. I was scared of not controlling things. I was scared of so many things. And then once I started stepping into recovery, I was scared of the stuff I didn't know, and I was scared of doing things. But I really believe that that's part of how we made up, how I made up. Fear is like one of my ways of survival, that flight or fright kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's also opportunities for growth.
So most people are afraid of what they don't know, and what we don't know is just about everything. You know what I mean? Like, we know we have a baby here, he knows his ABCs. I know how to drive my car. I know with faith, I'm going to have faith, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to have faith that tomorrow's going to be another day. And all of the other stuff that I think about that might happen, or that did happen, or that could happen, or all of that, that takes away from this minute. And that's me not living in recovery. Right? That's trying to change stuff that either already happened or that may never happen. And that takes away my happiness. And that's going to go back again to acceptance. The world's going to turn the way that it does. I'm going to do my best to do my... it's so simple. If we could just remember that the world turns the way that it does. I'm going to show up and do my best to do my best and let the world turn the way that it does. Be as grateful for as much as I can be grateful for, right? Make that choice. Help another human being, and that's it. That's really those are the basics, in recovery.
Right, and that's the G. which is gratitude.
Right.
And right, it's gratitude, and it's our group. I get support. I can't do things on my own. Not in recovery. I can do many things on my own at work and when I'm parenting, but even then I rely on a group, a support group that gives me great advice. People who are in recovery, who are not using, who really learn to live life on life's terms. And those are opportunities for growth. That's where I learn about me. It's amazing seeing the growth that I've been through. We actually had this thing, I was talking to Stephen. Stephen's a big part of my journey today, but yesterday, normally we get into these things, what have you done for me lately? We'll do a conversation and we'll escalate into this huge thing of, you did this and you did this and you haven't done that, and becomes that whole thing. And yesterday's conversation was at that point that it could go either way. 3 years ago, I was crazy, and my son was not at home. He was running away. He was sneaking out. He was doing all crazy stuff at night. And I went crazy. I emptied out his room. I packed everything up. And my husband said that was pretty psychotic. And you know what? I was crazy, and it was a rash decision that I made. But instead of going into that whole escalation of a fight, I could actually have a conversation. And that's where I saw how much I've grown. I was able to say, I'm working on things, and things I've changed and I've grown, and growth is a huge part of it. And things ended well. Things that was a conversation and not ego and antagonism and ugly, and it was a totally different type of conversation, which was awesome.
And sometimes the conversation doesn't end well, and that's okay too.
Right.
Because we're not in control of that part.
But
I'm in
I
control
ended
of
well.
Right, and you're in control of
Right.
your own thoughts and actions, and how the other people are is how the other people are, how they act or react. And you could just do your best on your side.
So
that's it.
Leading to our H, which is one of my favorite letters, is hope.
It's going to be a really long.
No, we're going to stop. After this one, we're going to stop, and we'll carry on next week. But H is for hope. Hope and help. We reach that stage where we are so helpless and hopeless, and when we reach that pain, that level of being so ill and so empty, and the world is so dark, and there doesn't seem anything worthwhile that's out there, coming into recovery has given me something that I've got hope. I have hope for today. For today, I've got hope that things will be okay. And they actually were good.
He's doing his ABCs.
Yeah. He's keeping us
But
okay.
he's a little farther advanced than we are. Because like I said, he does have over 2 years clean, right? It's like 2 years and a little, so. Yeah, so let's hear from the other
let's go.
folks. It's good to see everybody this morning. Missed everybody last week.
I just wanted to say something. Liz, I'm so sorry for your loss, my sweetie.
What happened?
She lost a puppy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so lost in my own headspace because I wasn't feeling well. I'm sorry about that. That's sucky. Sorry about that. You want to talk? Can you share?
It's very distracting, sorry. No, I'm actually doing pretty well, despite, going through the grieving process of losing my dog. I don't really have a whole lot to say, just that I'm really grateful for my recovery and for all of you. Everyone's been very supportive, and I just know that if I didn't have my recovery, I'd be in a really, really bad place right now.
Yeah, and the thing is too is that you look at it differently when you're in recovery. We lose people, right? We lose our animals, we lose people, friends that are close to us, that are close to our heart. And beside the fact that you would act differently, you'd probably stay there for a really long time, because we're in the midst of our addiction. When we're stuck in our addiction, every single thing gives us a reason to stay stuck in that addiction. Right? Instead of saying, okay, there's a challenge, this is the way that life turned, I'm going to reach out, I'm going to do my best. I know that there are people that care about me and that really are interested in helping me. And that's okay. And it's okay to ask for that help. And it's okay for me not to go through this alone. And it's also okay not to use, even though, stuff like that happens, and then you want to use more than, for me, at times you want to use more than you want to keep your right arm. It's just the way that it feels. And then we're going to remember again that they're feelings. and that they're going to change. And no matter how it feels, I can promise you that no matter how it feels today, at some point it's going to feel differently. Right? It's never going to get better. You know, somebody dies, that doesn't go away. That person died. That part doesn't go away. But the emotions that we attach to the event, that changes. And we learn to work through the ouch part of it. And hardest part being learn to be grateful for the time that we did have with that person or with your puppy or whatever. Learn to have some gratitude and learn that one thing doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be the most important thing. It's a very important thing, but it doesn't have to be everything. And when you're going through it, it just sucks. And that's the way that is. It sucks. I'm sorry.
Liz, how many days clean are you?
A lot.
I think I'm at 104.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And we in recovery learn from each other. So as we go through things and we share about it, other people learn from our experiences and kind of get the tools to be able to deal with life on life's terms. And I just want to share just about you, if you don't mind. So Liz did things in the right way. She reached out to the community. She told us what was happening, when it was happening. She got the support from the community. She didn't pick up. She comes to the meetings. She does all the things where she actually puts her recovery first, no matter what else is going on around her. And as difficult as it is, and it sucks, it absolutely sucks. It doesn't change the situation that we're going through. But it's so much better going through it with others and friends who really genuinely care about us and love us than sitting on our own and trying to go through this on our own.
Yeah.
And we do have, for anyone out there who's watching this, we have an online community. It's on our website. It's soboweight.net, or if you're on Facebook, it's What's Eating You. That's how we reach out to each other. We talk to each other on a regular basis.
Yeah, so sorry.
Sorry, sweetie.
Sorry for your
Thank you.
loss. Anybody have anything to add about that? Besides Edward? No, thank you, Liz. Hi, Karen.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing well. I really don't have a whole lot to add to the conversation today. I got up late, so I'm tired, but I'm here, and that feels good. And I'm doing good. Just keeping busy and obviously and doing what I'm supposed to do for the most part, and just really staying in touch. So
And you've had a lot of change, right? You moved.
yeah,
You've
yes, we
changed
moved.
your relationships with some of the close people around you. So you made
Yes.
kind of like a whole lot of change in not such a whole big
Yeah.
period of time.
Yeah,
And how are you
yeah.
feeling about that?
I feel more peaceful about that than I have felt about that situation for a long, long time. And I will share that yesterday was our great-grandson's first birthday. And so we went back to the city, but, I kind of have to keep this group over here and this group over here just because of the situation. And that was okay. I didn't do anything with that. We went up and for his birthday party, had a great time, came back home. Didn't let anybody else know we were there because it wasn't something that we talk about. So it was just okay. It just was the way it was. And like you say, the world turns the way it turns, and it was all right.
Yeah. So having acceptance, it's hard for you to have acceptance for that when there's struggle with different
It
parts
is.
of your family.
It is.
And taking on all of that negative emotion and going through that, I don't know why, I don't know why, I don't know why, I don't know why.
Right.
And getting
It
to
makes
that,
sense.
that point where that is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? And going,
Doesn't have to make sense to me. It just is.
right, it doesn't have to make sense. You're exactly right. It's raining. Okay, how much sense does it make? Doesn't matter, man. It's raining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having acceptance for that's really, really big deal, and it helps to keep you happier, as opposed
does.
to when you're doing that fight inside of you. Why does this have to be like this? And if this person would only do this, and if they would only say this, and I don't know why we can't all be in the room together, and then you completely miss the baby's first birthday because
Exactly.
you're somewhere else.
I was able to stay present at the party and not get all lost in this other stuff. So it was really a great thing to be accepting of that situation.
Very cool. It's really good to see you this morning.
You know, it reminds me,
Thank
as you're talking, in the beginning, going to parties and being in acceptance and sitting there and trying to enjoy it without focusing on the food and feeling that I was being punished or being left out. It's amazing to see how things have changed. You know, as we sit for Super Bowl Sunday and we're going to people tonight, initially in the beginning of recovery, I thought that this was a punishment. You know, everyone else could, I couldn't, it's not fair, I resented them. And then all of a sudden, today it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with what other people are doing because they're doing it. I have certain choices. But I forgot about the party element, and it's something we're all going to be dealing with today.
Yeah. Yeah, except for me.
Well,
I'm
and you
gonna
know,
stay
and
home
you know,
'cause-
Haiti, I had forgotten about that. She served donuts, and I didn't even think about it. So it just was like, okay, there they are. And as Felice says, it doesn't hurt anybody to ever not eat something or to ever not eat for a period of time.
Right, we didn't
So-
hear that, right? The person died because they didn't eat the donut? Like, that never made the front page news, right?
So, you know, as you're saying that, I always think, like, I always had this thing of dieting. You know, if I just did the right diet, everything would be okay and I would be happy.
Yeah.
And really, for me, dieting is like dieting on the inside because I always felt that I was being punished. And if I could get through the next 5 minutes and not do this and then end up binging and purging and doing whatever else I was doing. And it's amazing the difference and how empowering recovery actually is once you step into the program and you start doing things the way that we're told to do things and the way other people have succeeded without feeling deprived or poor me or if only or any of those feelings. I don't remember doing that at a party for a really long time.
And for me, you know, recovery allows me to say, no, I'm not going to go today. No, I'm not going to go. It's my choice, and I'm not going to go. And the person that asked me to go, if you have a challenge with it, okay. So I'm going to stay home, and you go and have fun. And if anybody has a challenge with it, okay, I don't care. It's not about what, you know, the part that's about me and keeping myself healthy and keeping my head space spiritually healthy, that part's about me. What everybody else is doing is about them. And anybody else who does want to step into my lane, oh, okay. They can do whatever they think, you know, think whatever they think or do whatever they do, and that's okay with me. Because that's got nothing to do with me. So today this evening I choose to stay home. And that's my choice. And that's okay.
You know, that's so interesting because I just also remembered something, you know, in the past when I was using and using many different things, so many of my conversations were about other people and what other people were doing. And all of a sudden I go to these parties or I meet up with friends who are not in recovery, and so many of those conversations dwell on, they try to discuss other people and other things. And I'm having a real challenge. It doesn't interest me so much. Like I don't care what other people are doing. You know, if it's affecting me, then it's different.
So funny. So my ex-husband's dad, he's actually like 96 and he's fabulous, Pops. But whenever somebody would say something bad about somebody else, like let's say you said to me, oh, you know, well, I saw Angela and she was wearing that shirt and da-da-da-da, and she said this. He would say, really? Do you know the last time I saw Angela, she only had wonderful things to say about you. like the best F you, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, when somebody is in the midst of something and you say, okay, and that's it. So remember, we could always use that, right? Okay. Or, you know, I choose not to share in this conversation.
And also I find keeping things simple. Like, you know, that we talk about keeping things simple. My world today has become extremely simple. You know, even in my conversations, I used to assume a lot of stuff or guess a lot of stuff because that's where my head was, because I was controlling things, you know, and I already had the answers and the solutions. Today, I really listen differently to people and I hear things differently. And when people start that, it starts getting like way too much information that I cannot keep track of it, and I get lost in it, and it just gets overwhelming.
Okay.
So it's interesting seeing how our thinking process actually changes when we're actually in recovery and how our conversations start changing. And it's not the same for everyone. This is my journey and my experience. But it definitely has given me, I think I found out more about people themselves than the stuff that they're sitting and creating chaos about. So it's more about that person than the stuff happening around them.
Yeah, and for me, and this is, it drives Angela crazy, but you know, I don't care. I mean, I care about you, and God forbid if
Right.
you're sick and if you need some help and if there's some way that I could reach out to you or something like that. If there's a common goal and we want to get something accomplished, that I care about. You know, what Liz is saying to her next door neighbor, it's none of my business, I don't care. And so I don't have to be caught up in that type of chaos. It's not my business, right? That's me not staying in my lane, so. Good morning, Miss Laura.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. So my friend visited this week. She came in, she stayed with me because she had a funeral.
Oh,
And it's one of my very closest friends who moved away. And she does not know that I had weight loss surgery.
okay,
So, I mean, she's the one, I mean, I've told literally like 2 people
okay.
out of everybody in this group. So she comes, you know, obviously I've lost a ton of weight, and you know, even though I've been doing my recovery and I'm putting in all of this hard work, the reality is, we all know I had surgery. And I feel like the biggest jerk on the planet because I feel like I'm lying by admission, right? And then we have another friend who she struggled with her weight for a long time. Of course, she sees me and she thinks that, you know, it's just because I stopped eating all the carbs and whatever.